Morning. So just, if you guys are gonna follow along, you'll need a butter knife, towel, and coconut oil or lotion or something. If you wanna do all the things. Beautiful. Love it.
It's brand new. I haven't even opened it yet.
But I can't think of a better way to use it.
Yes. I used it all throughout my recovery from my foot surgery. Well, once the doctor gave me okay to put something topically on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey guys, yep, towel. Oh, yeah. Butter knife, towel, and coconut oil.
Wonderful tools.
Hey girl. Oh, nice, the stick.
Yeah, I don't use them nearly as often as I need to.
Yeah, it's pretty. I usually just have people use a rolling pin if they don't have one. But is that Georgia May?
She is. She's just sitting.
Did you sleep at all?
I mean, I feel like ever since we started her sleep program and she's been sleeping so much better, I'm like spoiled. Like if I don't get my real sleep. So like 6 hours I would have been thankful for 6 months ago, but last night felt not enough.
Yeah. Hi, Georgia.
I've got coconut oil. A knife.
Butter knife.
A towel.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So we'll give everybody like a minute or two because I'm sure we'll have some stragglers, and then I'll introduce you, and then it's all you.
Fabulous. So I have a little list, a little laundry list of people that reached out and were like, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do this?" So we'll see if we make it through everything, and if we don't, we don't. But
Georgia, sometimes I look at their little bodies and I'm like, it's like magical. Their joints work right. Like their bodies bend all the ways. And I'm like, oh.
She doesn't have all the bones yet. So
I know.
But I know all those primitive postures, like
shoes on her toe.
Shoes on her toe.
To be fair, I can still reach my toe to my face, but
of course you can.
But I can't bend my knees, so it's a trade.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, it's 8. We're gonna go ahead and start. So welcome to Self-Care Sunday. Believe it or not, it is May the 3rd. So our expert leading Self-Care Sunday is one of our Fit Me family members. It is Dr. Heister, who is probably the most incredible physical therapist I've ever met in my personal life. And I have a lot of joint problems. And so my opinion counts because I have met a lot of physical therapists. But now she lives far away. And so she is going to share some of her virtual magic with us. And so I'm going to let her take over. And if you guys have background noise, just like always mute out and then unmute yourself to chat, or if Sandy's like open it up, but that way we can hear. And sweet, it's all you, Sandy.
Awesome. Well, welcome guys and those joining in the future. We're going to cover a couple of different things. I am all about questions, so I will do my best to explain everything as thoroughly as possible at first, but if something doesn't make sense, don't hesitate to like shout out or put it in the chat. you know, if I don't get to it, I probably will get to it. There's just a few of you. So, so if you have questions, please ask them. Yeah, I am a physical therapist and I specialize in manual therapy things. So I like to move joints and get joints to move against each other better, like the bone surfaces. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. And front and center, Katie, you're like first in we're going to do some good knee mobilization stuff. And Christy, these are still, even though you're, well, I guess your last surgery wasn't all that long ago, but still, this knee mobilization is good for anybody with any kind of restriction or just tight quads in general. So I'm going to do a tiny little brief anatomy of the knee, and then we'll get to the good stuff. So the knee is one of the simplest joints, and the knee is rarely functions alone, meaning if there's a problem, like if you have knee pain, oftentimes it's not just the knee. You have to go above and below, look at the ankle and look at the hip, because a lot of the musculature that attaches at the knee crosses both the ankle and the hip. So if you have some knee pain, we're going to address kind of that same principle. We're going to go above and below. Right now, a ton of people are running more because that's what they have. They have outside to run in, and I'm seeing a lot of people with weird kneecap tracking things. So we're going to talk about how to look at your kneecap and what it is supposed to do. And then from there, we'll do a little bit of a release. So the kneecap, the patella, the knee, that kneecap is at the mercy of whatever it is the muscles are doing around it, meaning the quadricep muscle is a muscle in the thigh, and it attaches to the top of the kneecap and then continues on. It goes through a wardrobe change so that I can show you. And so if the kneecap is not gliding right, you're going to have knee pain anywhere in and around your knee. So, pardon my glowing white legs here. If you can position your leg so that your leg is straight, I'm just going to show you how to look at your kneecap and how your kneecap is tracking. So if you take your fingers and put them on either side, so your leg is totally relaxed, like your quad is relaxed. If you put your fingers on either side of that kneecap, wait till everybody is there if they want to, and then you're gonna fire your quad. So your quad muscle is 4 muscles. It comes down, attaches to the top of the kneecap, and continues down and attaches down here. So that's what I said, whatever the quad is doing, the kneecap is at the mercy. So when you tighten that quad and you put your fingers along each side, that kneecap should go straight up between your fingers. So if you feel extra pressure, like when you activate that quad, that kneecap should glide straight up. And if it doesn't, you'll notice then the kneecap will put extra pressure on one of your fingers in one direction. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions with that? Okay. So if you did that, if that kneecap did not glide straight up and down, a couple of things can have happened. One, it could be high already. So with that same principle, if your fingers are on either side, take your thumbs and literally push your kneecap straight down. I don't know if I can show you that. You're gonna push that kneecap straight down. Now, if it's crunchy, that's not necessarily normal. And this is a great exercise to get that kneecap to glide better, because oftentimes that kneecap, if your quad is tight, that kneecap is gonna ride high, and that is gonna put weird pressure on the rest on the structures underneath it. So that's like your own little personal test to see what's happening. So now if that kneecap has moved to either side, or some of you guys finding that, you can give me a thumbs up. Does it seem like it glides straight up and down?
Mine's definitely pulls to the outside, both of them.
Pulls to the outside. Okay. So even if it seemed normal, that's totally okay. This is still gonna be applicable to you if you do any squatting or running or jumping or walking. So I think that probably qualifies everybody. Okay, so now we're gonna treat it. So you're gonna take that towel. So you're in my gym, you're in my garage gym, so pardon like the ladders and the things. Okay, so you're gonna take a hand towel. You're gonna fold it in half and roll it. So what this is going to do is it's gonna help us gap the joint a little bit and get an extra stretch in the quad. You're also gonna need your butter knife and your coconut oil. You can do this sitting. You can do this, I'm gonna do it just for simplicity up against, I'll show you in a sec. But you're going to put this towel, behind your knee, and then you're gonna flex that knee. So you can do this sitting, you can do this on a chair, and then you can apply a little bit of pressure. If you don't have a lot of things going on, you can just sit on it. If you are lacking some range of motion, you can do it again on a chair. But that towel is behind there to help create a little bit of extra gapping in the joint. Then from here, you're gonna take your butter knife. So to hold your butter knife, so if this is the seemingly serrated side, you're gonna grab it like this. So I'm using the handle, and you're gonna lube up the whole top of the quad and the top of the kneecap with that coconut oil. Okay. So from here, towel behind, so you can be sitting, you can be kneeling. You're gonna take the handle of that. I'm gonna come closer here. You're gonna take the handle of that butter knife and you are literally going to scrape. Kind of do these big sweeping movements around the whole thing. So the angle, so I don't want you to do flat. You're gonna do it about a 45-degree angle to the surface of your skin. Does that make sense? So not up and down, not flat, at a small angle. And scrape the whole kit and caboodle. And what you'll notice, some things might feel a little tight. Some things might feel a little extra spicy. And you'll see, I don't know if you can see on mine, you'll see certain things kind of pink up. I'm gonna just kind of watch it again here. So it's okay to kind of get into it a little bit, but we're not causing, I don't want these big red streaky, like they're called petechiae, where it kind of starts speckle. I'm not looking for that. If you've done that, you've gone too far. That's okay. Just sort of go to a different area. And you're going to scrape and keep scraping. So if you find a spot that's a little extra tender, hang out there for a little bit. Good. And you can kind of do it pretty fast until, and then when you find a little spot, kind of dig into that a little bit.
What do you mean by you've gone too far? What do you mean by that?
Oh, leave it to Leah to ask that question.
Like too deep? So, I've gone too deep? Is that what you mean?
No, so then you've just caused some tissue disruption, and that's not what we're going for. There is a whole genre of treatments that's what they want. They want it to turn red and even bleed. That is not what I'm going for. So if it starts to turn red, you just, a little bit of redness is totally normal, and that's that's okay. But there's something specifically called petechiae, where it looks like you have a bunch of little red freckles.
It's almost like a little bruise.
Yeah, it'll look like a little bruise, and you might bruise from this, even if it doesn't feel like you're doing a ton of stuff.
I'm getting the
But
cushion.
some of the areas to focus on would be the corners, meaning out here, this top kind of outside corner, and here, this inside corner of that kneecap. So focusing here, and I know I'm not in that position that I showed you guys. You don't necessarily have to do that. Like this doesn't totally have to happen for this to happen, but what this does is creates a nice gapping, like I said before. How's everybody doing with that?
I feel like I get the petechiae on the corners.
So does it look, I mean, redness is okay, but not like a,
Those are the spots that hurt.
Those are the spots that hurt, absolutely.
Yes.
So if you had some,
on the inside.
I missed that, I'm not sure if it said something. So for you, Christy, in particular, we know that your range of motion struggles. So for you, somebody that doesn't have that complete range of motion of the knee, and complete range of motion of the knee, meaning you should be able to touch your heel to your butt, then this is super important. The gapping of that knee.
Even with the gap, I still can't get close, but it's more.
Yeah, it's good. Well, so that is the first thing. So I'll give you guys a second if you want to either do the other side.
Yeah.
Switch sides if you want. Yep, absolutely. And yeah, everybody looks good. So even if, go ahead.
Sandy, question. So like if your kneecap was like pulling to one side, or if it was like sitting too high, does this like free up your quad connections a little bit? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I can kind of go into that while you guys are doing the other side. So one of the analogies I use is the patella, the kneecap. It sits in an envelope, and that envelope has the ability to tighten and relax, not like a muscle, but the tissue on one side can get really, really tight. And if it gets tight on one side, it actually pushes the kneecap to the opposite. So when that happens, when you activate that quadricep, that kneecap is not going to glide straight. So if it glides to one side, it's actually good to focus on both of the lateral and the medial sides of that kneecap, because even though it glides to one side, it doesn't mean that one side is the problem. So there's a tissue restriction component to it, and then there's a tissue tightness of the quad. So it can pull because of the quad. Is that making any sense? Or am I just rambling?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So like if it's tight, you're like coming from the side of the, not at all of the side of the knee, or just the quad where it meets the knee? You
can do the whole side of that. You can do the whole thing. And you'll find it. If there is a restriction, it will tell you. It will be tender or a little extra sensitive.
Now remind me, because I know you told me this in person, but if you're someone who has knee pain and you already have swelling, you shouldn't be like digging into the swelling spot too much, right?
So
That's
not necessarily the spot of the swelling, but above it. Because sometimes that inflammation and that swelling it's just kind of trapped there because your quad is too tight and that inflammation can't get out. So you don't want to go right on that spot of inflammation. You want to go above it. for example, a common spot that I'll see inflammation is either, and inflammation is just, think of it as water. Water follows the path of least resistance. So if we have a pocket of inflammation here, then I want to go up above it and scrape above it to help it drain. And then oftentimes on the outside, I will see a pocket of inflammation and you want to release above it.
Sandi, is it better to sit on your feet and have the towel behind, or do this like with your foot up?
Either one. There are going to be people that can't do that. If you can, that means you've got some pretty doggone good range of motion. And
if I can, you mean?
Yeah, if you can put this behind and fully sit down, then you've got some really good knee range motion.
You know what's funny is, you know what hurts when I sit on the right side is my calf muscle. It must be tight.
Yeah. So this is actually a secret little release for your gastroc too. Yeah, it's like a bonus.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, actually, it's kind of weird, but I've been running and I have had a little bit of knee cap pain on my left-hand side. It's really weird. I noticed it when I went for a hike. It was actually when we were going downhill.
Yeah.
That I like a little bit of twinge. It's not too bad, but it's funny. I don't notice it when I go for a run. I notice it when I'm going up a hill or if I'm squatting or anything like that.
Yeah. So anytime you ask for, because when you're either going uphill or squatting, you're asking for a greater range of motion of that knee. And so the more bent your knee is, the higher, so without going in, the more bent your knee is, the more pressure that kneecap is putting on your femur. And so if it's gliding wrong or sitting in the wrong spot, the sucker's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now that our quads are nice and released and relaxed, to me, I feel like release should always be first. Like if you're in a series of intervention for a part of the body, you should release it first, stretch it, and then activate it. So we release the knee. Now we're gonna go into a stretch. And this is one of my favorites. Those hip flexors. Katie, this is gonna be good for the front of that knee as well. And the rest of you. This is just a good stretch for anybody. So it's a pretzel stretch. It's probably highest prescribed exercise. So you're gonna lay on the ground. Let me get my foot there. Well, I'll go from the top first. You're gonna lay on your side. And the top leg is gonna come forward. And the bottom arm here is going to hold it down. That makes sense? Then you're going to grab the back leg. So I'm going to talk through that again. So you're laying on your side. The top leg is going to come forward and rest on the ground. Then with the shoulder that's on the ground, that arm is just going to hang on to that, just going to keep it there. Then you're going to reach behind you with your top arm, grab onto that foot, and pull it that heel towards your butt.
Ooh.
Yep. So another component of this, I feel like a fish out of water. If you drop your top shoulder backwards, you're going to get a rotation through your spine as well. This is one of my favorites. This is going to, you can feel this in a number of different places. You can feel this on your top hip. You can feel this on the quad. That is the leg behind you. Now, if you're not feeling a stretch, think about bringing the knee that's down, the knee that's under you. Try to bring that knee behind your hip. And that is going to intensify that stretch and probably bring that stretch a little bit higher into your hip flexor.
I definitely need this one, and I'm trying to feed this baby this waffle so I can get into it.
No judgment, Christy, no judgment. So I like this one. So so there's a little science behind stretching. People will often stretch for about 10 to 20 seconds, and that will release a chemical in your brain, letting you think that you just stretched a muscle. You didn't. You didn't stretch a muscle. All you did was make your body think you did. You need at least 30 seconds, and that's on the very, very low end of a bell curve. Upwards of 60 to 90 seconds is where you get a true physiological lengthening of the tissue. So I like people to hang out here as long as they feel comfortable, but at least a minute. And a minute is a long time. So if you're gonna do this outside of your, like, look at your watch. And to be honest, I didn't look at my watch when we did this, but if you haven't switched, let's go ahead and switch and do the same thing on the other side while I keep yammering. So if there's I said before, if there's a stretch that is gonna be good for anybody and everybody, it's this one.
I see how you got into it.
What, you want me to show you?
Yeah, I want to see one more time.
Yep, to the other side so I feel a little better. Laying on your side. Top leg comes forward. Bottom arm hangs onto that leg. Then grab your ankle, pull your knee behind you. If you can't get it, I see, that's your shoe. You can also put that hand towel if you can't grab it. You can use that hand towel. All right, and what's my time? 8:24. Okay. What do I have? 30 minutes?
You can go as long as you need to or want to. People can pop off when they want.
Let me there's at least one more thing I want to cover, and then we can open it up. So you guys can just listen to me if you want to finish up that stretch. You get that true minute, that magical minute that I'm talking about. So a lot of people are having a lot of low back pain right now, and I'll give you my super quick back pain spiel. Most back pain isn't from the back, meaning it's not, just like I said about the knee, back pain doesn't always happen because there's a problem with the back. It's often the hips or the thoracic spine, meaning the spine here that doesn't move right. So if you have tightness in your hips, a good hip stretch will often alleviate back pain. Not completely, and that's like a broad statement. But that being said, stretching out the hips is really good for low back, and then any thoracic mobilization. But also, the low back is where there is a mecca of fascia. So fascia is a connective tissue. It covers your whole body. It's under your skin. It covers all of your organs. It's everywhere. It's a connective tissue that's 75% water, and then like this mangled structure of webbing. So everything is connected. The fascia from the back of your head is connected to your low back, which is connected to the bottom of your feet. And those three places are where it is the thickest: the back of your head, your low back, and the bottoms of your feet. So that intersection at your sacrum, which is, I think I have a sacrum, which is the very bottom of your spine. So this is the front of your pelvis. This is the back of your pelvis. So your spine would sit here. This is your sacrum. So we're going to take a towel and we're gonna release some of that fascia, because back pain is often also common in people that have a tight fascial system behind at the back of their pelvis. So if you take that towel again, fold it in half, and now you're gonna fold it like a flag. You're gonna triangle it, drop that edge down. Does that make sense? I don't know how many Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts we got here. So you make a triangle. So you're gonna lay flat on your back with that triangle sitting at your sacrum. So this is what, I guess I have purple pants on, and so you're gonna put that towel right at your low back and your sacrum, and you're gonna lay flat on your back.
Does it matter which way it points?
It should point down towards your butt. So yeah, this should point at your tailbone.
So should we be feeling that our backs are like super kind of arched right there now?
No. So your towel is probably a little too high, or your hip flexors are really tight.
Too high? Okay.
Yeah.
So for lack of a better word, should that triangle tip kind of like be in your butt crack?
Yes. At the top, you know where the dimples are in your dimples in your butt?
Yeah.
That's where the top of the towel should be. I don't know the best way to show this.
Okay. Thank you.
And then get it positioned, bridge, and then lay flat. So you might feel this in a number of different spots. It might feel like nothing, and that's okay. This is a pressure that your body doesn't take on, meaning you sit and the pressure comes from here. If you're laying down, the pressure is often up top here, but you don't ever get a pressure onto your sacrum. So it might not feel like anything, and that's okay. And if it does feel like something, if it's painful, it should not be painful. It should feel like nothing, or a little bit of pressure, or kind of nice in an odd way that you don't necessarily know why it feels good. And that's okay. That's kind of where we're looking. So this is a low pressure, a low load pressure on that sacrum. And we want to keep this the same philosophy with that physiological lengthening of the tissue. We want to hang out here for at least a minute. Sometimes this just feels good. It's a good time to practice some deep diaphragmatic breathing and hang out here for at least a minute. So that the magic, I guess you could say, is when we remove the towel in a minute or so. And that's when you'll feel either, sometimes people feel cold, a cold rush. Sometimes people feel a warmth. Sometimes people feel oddly emotional. That's a whole different ball of wax, but it's just a real simple release. So if you remove that towel now, and then lay flat again, and again, not everybody will feel this, but you might feel different in that area, because this is a common spot to hold tension, super common spot for pain. How's everybody doing with that? Ooh, who's got the birdies? That's nice.
It's probably me.
Lovely. Don't shut your mic off.
That felt actually good.
Yeah, I know it's odd. Yeah, it's just a nice little tool to have in the toolbox. Ooh, Jenna, I think she might have just left, but this is good for those pregnant mamas for sure. Yeah.
Me sticking the arm of my couch into that spot and trying to back bend is probably a little too much pressure, not necessary.
Yes. But yeah, try this. If Christy, I have full confidence that if you did that pretzel stretch and this little sacral release, you would definitely see an improvement.
Okay.
Definitely see an improvement. Yeah, I mean, this is a good, you know me, I can do this for hours, but this is probably a good time to take any questions, if anybody has any questions.
Oh,
sorry, I didn't mean to. Whoever was going to ask, you go ahead and ask.
Oh, I was going to say last time when Terry was on, I had asked her about the Achilles. Yeah, so I'll ask you too. What do you think are good stretches or good things to do to relieve, like, I don't necessarily have a pain, but I just get super tight there. I did have an injury there at one point, but it seems to be doing fine when I'm running. It's just sometimes when I first wake up, it's just like super tight.
Yeah, super common problem. Tightness in the Achilles is more often than not a sign of weakness in the foot and tightness in the hip.
Mm-hmm.
So, interestingly enough, I'm about to launch a foot course. Here's my shameless plug for this exact thing, those few first steps in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
If those first few steps in the morning are tight, and then it loosens up and you don't think about it, that's a warning sign. Like your body is saying, hey, we've got an issue here, and if we don't take care of it, it could blow up into something else. So when you feel that tightness, particularly people that sleep on their stomachs at all and their foot goes straight at night, that's just going to lock up that whole Achilles if it's over functioning. So there's usually a weakness in the foot. And that's just a general thing. So you can stretch those. Unfortunately, very few times have I ever heard, oh, I just stretched my Achilles and everything is better. Usually it doesn't go that way, because people will stretch their Achilles all the time. Go ahead.
Sandi, you showed me a couple, but maybe you could put them out in the universe, ways that people can test to see if their feet are weak, and maybe they could do a little test, and if their feet are the problem, then they can get up with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those tests are cool. They're humbling.
Yeah, they are. So the foot, ultimately, I'll do this real quick. You should be able to curl your toes under. Is one. Like your big toe and all your toes should curl under. You should be able to actively do that. That's the first test. Second test is you should be able to independently move your big toe up and then the rest of your toes up. I don't know that I'm showing this. So again, you should be able to independently pick up all your toes and leave your big toe down, and then pick up just your big toe.
Can't do that.
Okay, therein lies a good portion of our problem then, for the weakness of your weakness of the foot, then contributes to tightness in the calf. So those two things, that's a quick little test. Then the other thing is you should be able to curl your toes. Curl your toes and straighten out your ankle. And your big toe should stay curled. Meaning the big toe, the meat of your big toe should touch the meat of your foot.
Pretty much.
And extend your ankle.
And extend your ankle.
Without getting a foot cramp or.
Without getting a foot cramp.
I cannot.
I cannot either.
No.
And that is a sign of weakness.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, Sandi, I might have to do your foot class.
Awesome.
I do too.
Yeah. If you follow me on Instagram, here's my other shameless plug. Dr. Sandi B is my handle, dr.sandi, S-A-N-D-I-B as in boy. You can find me on Instagram. I'm putting out a whole bunch of stuff right now for that foot course in preparation of its magnificent launch on the 15th.
It's like a And it's like a protocol. It's like a make your feet stronger so pain goes away kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody with foot pain, calf pain, heel pain, toe pain, pain on the bottom of the foot, any type of foot pain, the course is designed to put you through a little initial assessment, a little test, so that we can figure out what is exactly wrong, like where we need to focus. And then there's a bunch of banks of exercises that you can, and we talk you through the whole thing. We do an online assessment first, talk you through the whole program, and then you do the program for a couple weeks, and then we reconvene, figure out what's better, what's different, and then reassess and go forward from there. So that's my foot fixer program, shameless plug.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Sandy, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I've been experiencing
No, you're fine.
some weird like elbow pain lately. Is there something similar that I could do like with the butter knife for your elbow?
Absolutely. The little trick that you just did for your foot or for your knee can be done anywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
Elbow is a common one. Absolutely.
You do it above or below the elbow?
Yes. Above and below.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Awesome, guys.
on both sides? That side?
Yeah, so absolutely. Yeah. You gotta be careful underneath here because it's just usually more sensitive and there's some nerves there. Right, Leah? Yeah,
Sandy,
right through there.
I have a question for you that's
Yeah.
sort of, I think it might be sort of related. My sister and I, Molly Shea is the director of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
She and I both get allergy shots I don't know how often she gets them, but I'm down every 3 weeks. And they're always going into here. Well,
Yeah.
they were going into here, but this is a nice problem to have, that I don't have that much flab, but it's getting to the point where they're having a difficult time finding subcutaneous tissue that's not muscle. And the girl that seems to be giving me my shots is a lefty. And so she finds it even more challenging to get subcutaneous tissue without going into my muscle. And
So she's getting muscle.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's real sore. You can do this. You can do this real light. Yeah, you can do this real light there and loosen up some of that because your body's going to respond to that by tightening up fascia in that area.
Okay.
Because it's essentially an assault on the muscle tissue and the fascia. So yeah, lightly do this. It'll be helpful. Cool.
So do that before or after? Do it before or after?
I would do it 2 days after.
Okay.
And then Sandy, one more question about the anything that you're doing with this.
Yeah.
So like if you have knee pain or you've got elbow pain and so you're trying to do this,
Yes.
something you should do like a couple times a week? Like when do you like not do it? Is there any guideline around that?
Yeah. It depends on how much of a go for the gusto person you are. If you just went 10 minutes crazy and it's super, you don't want to do it the next day. So if you're like getting at it, give it at least a day rest in between. But if it's just like a casual, like, you know, minute or two, you can do that daily.
Yeah.
But no more. I would never, ever ask anybody to do more in like a whole body. Like say you're going to do your elbow, you're going to do your knee and your foot. The whole total time should not be more than about 8 minutes. So if you've got, you know, 4 spots, two minutes each, spot, and then you're done.
Okay.
And that you can do daily.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have one more random question if no one else does. It's a good question, guys. You're gonna want to hear the answer to this.
I have one question. Is there
Go ahead and
wait.
Yeah,
is there a
go.
limit to how long we can lay on the towel? Because I'm still laying there. It feels so good. Like, I don't want to go numb.
Usually, I mean, to be honest, no. Unless you start to go numb, and then you've gone too far. So my like, to me, the magic window is like 3 to 5 minutes. But there are, I mean, if you feel good, go for it, girl. Like you're not hurting anything. You might be shockingly a little sore, and that's okay. It won't be painful.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here's my final question before we sign off.
Yeah.
I saw on TikTok someone with a tool doing this to their face, saying that they could make their face lift. And I want to know, is that true?
No,
That is a great question, Christy. You're totally right.
They're doing it all the time, and I'm like, is that a thing? Because I will do that every morning if that's a thing.
I mean, okay, so if we break it down, you are increasing blood flow, so that will have some positive effects. You're not like removing wrinkle creases or anything, but you're increasing blood flow. So I'll give that to them, blood flow. And I mean, who doesn't love good blood flow, but you're not like making these massive facial changes.
They'll do one side and they'll be like, look, this side is different than this side. And you'll look and be like, it is. It really is different.
It sounds like the fascia blaster.
Do you have fascia in your face?
Yeah, everywhere.
Well, there you go.
You can take the end. I know that sounds crazy. This to me feels amazing.
That does.
Ooh, it looks like you got a cheek lift.
Well, look at that. Maybe I'm selling that for my next product.
So, Sandi, can I
TikTok?
Yeah.
Wait, somebody was saying?
Well, basically this handle of this knife, you could just kind of go all around your knee and your quads and your
Everything.
This is good for it.
That's a pointy one, Kristen.
Yeah.
I would start high. So there's going to be like the corner of your jawbone here. You're going to go right between it and then go right under, so underneath the hard bone of your cheek. Don't do this a ton. You're going to pink up significantly.
Bruise your face.
We don't want to bruise that. But
We're blind.
Yeah. Start high and go low. You're kind of pulling this way, Kristen. Try high and push down towards your mouth. I'm gonna do the other side now.
There it is. Yeah, Andy, you know what? Helping people get strong feet isn't going to be as good as helping them get a magical pretend cheek lift. Face lift and cheeks.
I mean,
could this help with TMJ?
Yeah. And here's my little tidbit for TMJ. Every single one of us has a TMJ. TMJ stands for temporal mandibular joint.
Right.
It's when you have TMD, which is temporal mandibular dysfunction. So that's my little education of what TMJ is we have it. Everybody has TMJ. We've made it a bad term. So I just like to clear, I always like to clean that one up. So TMD, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and there's like, it's like tips of the iceberg. There's a ton of stuff to do for the jaw, tons. There's some nice internal releases too. But.
If you guys want to go back to 2 self-care Sundays ago with Tori, the massage therapist, she did like a really cool like sinus release, like face massage at the very beginning. And so you can catch that on the recording.
Nice. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, that's
Definitely.
Good stuff. Awesome.
Well, Sandi, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I learned a ton, and I'm gonna do that like lay down side stretch a bunch and the towel. I'm gonna alternate it.
Yeah. And you can do that a couple times a day.
Can we open this damn world up so I can come see you every week?
You can. I would see you right now. You know that.
Where are you?
I am in Northern California, like way northern, like not San Francisco.
Everybody like an hour and a half from Oregon.
Yeah, we're like, Leah and I are close. So, yeah, like we can tickle Oregon. Yeah.
Got it. I'm on the East Coast in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I have. Well, we've kind of been everywhere. Christy and I met in Maryland, so East. I do enjoy the East Coast.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And if you guys have other like questions or you want Sandy's foot course, just definitely shoot her a message or check out her Instagram. But
yeah,
I hope this is helpful for you guys. And thank you for your time.
Yeah,
this was
my
super
pleasure.
valuable.
Thank you, Sandy.
Well, yeah, guys, good to see you guys. Happy Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.